And welcome back to the LEC live from the Riot Games Arena in Berlin, Germany. It was a day of comebacks yesterday, and we're closing out the first week of summer with GB and Odo and Fnatic, of course, gearing up in the studio as we can see. Vitality, oh, nice ears, buzzing around the studio. Not a great start for them, but hopefully can score the first win today. I'm Laure, and I will be with GB and Odo, as I said. How are you guys doing? The Dragons are vibing, but they've been vibing all weekend.
They're bringing the atmosphere, yeah. It feels great to be back in the studio. We're having another set of potential bangers today. Yeah. I'm excited to see because there's been some really sad teams, but I hope they're going to be a lot happier today.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that sentiment, and I certainly hope that the level of play would elevate a little bit. And if it's not, as long as it's not slow, I'm kind of fine with it as a viewer watching it, because if it's exciting, at least I'm getting some dopamine out of it.
I mean, I thought we established already that we're the League of Entertainment, and that's all for now.
That's what the E stands for, yeah.
It's been a slow start for our teams, as we see in the standings. A lot of surprises here.
Yeah, I mean, personally for me, I'm looking towards the bottom of the table, right? I certainly did not expect Team Vitality to be in this position. And I guess to some degree, MDK did not expect that either. I think both teams also have been in winning positions, but they've just not been able to manage to close out their games.
Yeah, as you said, both teams have had, I think they've been part of the infamous 10K goal leading to throw the game yesterday. So yeah, that was sad, but I'm really excited to see how they level up. But on the other note, SK has been quite surprising, you know, given what happened with their roster, you know, going through a revamp or like a mini revamp when you change the whole bot lane, identity shift and everything. But they came out of the gates swinging.
Yeah, and today I think it's going to be a good opportunity to see if they can get the 3-0 on the weekend. Some teams have to come back, of course. We're going to see that a bit later. Today we had 2 days in the summer so far, and I want to have the snap reactions to the split. That's right, we're going to be Reddit for a few minutes. I want to hear the bad, the good, and the ugly. I want to hear your thoughts too. Actually, in chat, we're keeping an eye on what you guys are going to spam on Twitch. Boys, what do we think here at first? Let's start with the bad, shall we?
Yeah, the bad, we touched on it a bit.
Yeah.
The 10K goal lead teams fumbling a little bit. Also, ADC mids, or like not ADC, AD mid picks are not really doing so great. So what do you think about that, GB?
Yeah, I mean, let's start with what you said first, the goal leads. You're seeing them on your screen right now. I think a lot of it comes down to some of the objective setup and not really having the discipline to know exactly what we're going for. I think a lot of our teams in the first weekend are getting very over-eager, and in different scenarios as well. But for these games specifically, winnable games that should have never been thrown, that's definitely the, what was it, the ugly or the bad? It's either way for me at least.
Yeah, and I think for me that's the main issue with this, Odo, is the fact that it's not so much teams losing because they don't have the right power spikes or they don't have the right execution on their games. It's careless mistakes that brought them there.
Yeah, exactly. They're at the finish line. You know, who was it? MDK yesterday was, you know, one Nexus tower left. Pretty much the world is their oyster. Soul is up. Nashor about to come up. Both in hip up. But instead they looked for a team fight at the Nexus tower, and then they just get aced, you know, multiple times in a row, and then the game just falls apart.
Yeah, I mean, for Vitality, just back that to that objective setup with, oh, one member getting caught right before Dragon spawns. Okay, that's another Drake going over to Rogue. And that simple scenario kept happening to the point, even though where Rogue was behind gold, they still managed to pick up a soul, hold the defend, and then come back in the late game.
Let's move to the ugly, because if you didn't think that was bad, we have worse. Coming here with the supports, engaging without follow-up, without anything, not at the right moment. What is going on in the handling of these team fights, GB?
I mean, as a player, sometimes you just see a moment where you know you can get 5 members in a CC chain. It looks like the perfect engage. But there's also the realistic aspect of your team just not being in a position to actually follow up on that, and suddenly you're just inting.
Yeah, I've been in this position multiple times where I'm playing a setup champion. I'm like, guys, come on, I find the perfect engage, and then I look and everyone's like 5 seconds away, you know. So my CC is already layered off. And then all of a sudden, I'm the one inting, you know? It's not me making a superhero play.
But I do feel like it's communication mostly in moments like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And also just being able to hold yourself back. I think right now a lot of it is a Rel syndrome, where you just jump in with that Flash W ultimate. It feels really good when you land it, but as we said, there needs to be someone in a position where you can actually hit. Yeah. So I think supports, they maybe need to temper their engages just a little bit to be on the same page as the rest of their teams.
Yeah, and especially on the highest levels of play, you know, the teams are looking at your position, at the main engage position, at the follow-up, and then when they see this sort of desync, all of a sudden they're baiting it. They don't really care so much. They don't really feel this threat whether they're about to get aced. They're like, oh, this guy's inting.
Let's take a look at the bright side. On the lower part of the map, ADCs might stop crying. It feels like they're doing well right now. But actually, no, the role is kind of strong, but the players have been showing up as well.
Absolutely. I think Upset yesterday had a really good game on the Jinx. I think that the first death he had, there wasn't really much he can do about it, and he was able to hold on to a late game position where beautiful team fighting for K-Cup was able to set him up. But he wasn't the only Jinx player yesterday having a good day.
Yeah, definitely. Ice in this team fight, you know, BDS has a great team comp to set him up for success, but at the same time is, you know, a result of everything that's been happening to ADC's dispatch, higher XP, better itemization, and, you know, teams catering to their strengths is just, you know, results in a Jinx pentakill.
And the comeback of other champions here in the likes of Corki, Noah played phenomenal yesterday as well.
Absolutely. I think he had a great performance on the Corki. Obviously, the champion is very overtuned right now, but that doesn't take away from what he was able to achieve in that game. So great to see Noah come back on a comfort, well, not necessarily a comfort pick, a new pick to really show that that MSI hangover isn't as strong as some people might have thought.
Absolutely, and when you look at the bot lane overall, it has been serving some teams. I think about SK Gaming, for instance. We talked about this at the top of the standings right now, and I do feel like it's due to the bot lane as well. Can we get excited about SK? Because it's been 2 years of them having a slump in summer, just collapsing completely, but I love what they've been showing
I mean,
so far.
it's only 2 games so far, but one of them was against G2, so that's obviously a great showing from SK.
Wait, did I hear an SK? Did I hear an SK? Think you can stop what they do? I doubt it. Let me tell you about SK. We have entered a new era with this team. They have now created the foundation in which they can grow into one of the best teams Europe has to offer. They took an SK and they made it an S plus K.
Yeah, that's fine, but didn't that make D plus Kia worse?
It's all about their early game synergy. Isma getting aggressive on the bottom side of the map, level 2, level 3, getting bot lane ahead, and then Luon's like, hang on a second, I'm gonna roam with you, let's mess him up, and he starts going for invades with Isma, getting kills mid, and then Niski's like, wait a second, I want to get involved in this, and he starts roaming bot, and they get killed. It's this beautiful cycle of never-ending destruction of the enemy team, and this gets so many kills that even their support is coming out of lane 4-0.
Yeah, but Rahel would have liked more than 2, obviously, so I mean, that's probably something, you know, that...
Now, there are going to be some doubters in our midst. And look, they are working on their mid game. I think that is a little bit shaky, but this new bot lane has brought the consistency that SK really needs. Strong early game, solid team fighting, a new language. I mean, this team just beat G2, and only our top teams can do that.
Rogue 2.
Shut up, JB!
My bad.
And the beauty of it all is that we never ever overreact to SK after week 1, ever, and they never crumble after that. So buy your SK stocks now, they're at an all-time high.
I think I'm convinced here. I don't want him to yell at me as well, GB. Are you gonna be fine? Are you convinced
It's
on
okay,
SK?
Dacta and I, we have our up and down periods in our relationship, but as long as we clear the air in the end, we're perfectly fine. I think it's okay to be hyped on SK, but I obviously understand if there are doubters because they have started out strong in the past and crumbled later on.
Do you think they have what it takes to just keep on going like this, Odo? Because, yeah, as he said, it's usually a 2-3 game case and then it just crumbles.
Yeah, we see this not only with SK. I mean, SK has been the main protagonist of this in the past, but we've seen it with other teams where they come out swinging, you know, very, very good first week into crumbling later on. I'm a little bit more skeptical just because it's SK, but you know, I'm on the hopium here. I really hope that we get to see another challenger in the league.
Swiffer said it himself yesterday. Let's wait and see, and we'll see SK play later today against Giant X in Game 2. Turning the attention to the first games, though, we have minutes away from Fnatic versus Vitality. The year-long project from Vitality finds a setback at the start of summer, with Vitality going 2-0 in the first 2 games. And Jiniro is backstage with the coach Mac. Let's hear what he had to say in the Marriott Bonvoy pre-game lobby.
Thank you so much, Laura. We appreciate it. Thank you so much as well for joining. We're looking at Fnatic going up against Vitality. And I want to start off by asking if you had a chance to have a holiday between spring and summer?
No, not so much. I mean, okay, I had like a restful time with my family, but you know, I have a 7-month-old daughter, so
yeah,
you know,
not
you don't really
happening.
get like days off anymore,
No.
but it's worth it, you know, and it's really fulfilling, and you know, it's an opportunity to grow, so I relish it, you know.
And growing is something that you guys do at Vitality. That's your quote. I'm stealing that one. I want to talk about Vitality particularly and the growth that we're looking to see here in summer, especially starting off with a 0-2 so far. How are you feeling? What do you think maybe could be improved going forward?
I think the 2 days had very different stories. I think the first day we were kind of very proactive, and I was really happy that we were proactive, you know. So I asked them to go into the game and play, you know, high tempo, to play discipline, to play together and do the same thing, and they did it, and it messed up, and I'm happy with that. I think day 2, there was some jitters, like we weren't fully in the zone. I think there were a lot of things that we did that, you know, well, there were a lot of things that didn't transition from practice into stage, put it that way, right? So I think we were a lot more disappointed with yesterday's game. So yeah, that kind of is what it is. I think that's kind of par for the course when you change a player. You know, you change one player and it's a totally new team. So we're trying our best to stay level-headed, to stay patient, to be kind to ourselves, and to just focus on, you know, the long term and the process, because that's what it's all about, realistically.
You're talking about the process as well and bringing in a new player. When it comes to having a new player add this to the team, and it comes to having personal goals for that player, what exactly are you looking forward to from them this time around?
From Lince specifically? Yeah. For me, I suppose that's a tough question. I think, you know, as a player coming in, it would be wrong of him not to be incredibly ambitious, you know? I think people tend to have an idea that as a rookie player, you're supposed to kind of wait your turn before you're allowed to win, you know? Yeah. And I don't believe in that. I think Lince has what it takes to win, you know, whenever he wants, right? And I think that's the attitude that he should take towards it. As a project and as someone who's in charge of the project, it's my job to have a long-term focus, right? So it's my job to be forgiving if we don't win straight away. So I suppose I kind of have to wear multiple hats there. But I think in terms of the goals internally that we set for him, we're very ambitious. And I think that's totally fair because he has a lot of potential.
That's actually such a wholesome thing to hear. It feels like you're also wearing the father hat when it comes to your players, particularly within the team. So thank you so much for joining us for the interview. Good luck today against Fnatic. And Laure, back to you.
Thank you, Ginny. It is going to be complicated, as we said, for Vitality 0-2, and they have to face off against the likes of Fnatic today, who had a phenomenal start to the split. 2-0 so far, can get the 3-0 against Vitality. What did we think of Fnatic and what we've seen from them?
Fnatic looked really, really good, you know. Yeah. We've seen they kind of had the unique approach to drafting into these 2 games. I felt like they've been getting pretty much what they wanted, you know. It didn't really feel like they were forced to play some other stuff. So yeah, pretty impressive so far. Yeah. I'm just curious how Vitality will react to them today.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious to see how the tempo of the entire game is going to go, because with the draft that we've seen from them, which is, you know, the Ivor and the Way and an engaged support that we usually see from Fnatic, they've been a bit more tempered around their objective setup, which was a bit unlike Fnatic, because usually they're just like, go in, high tempo all the time. Both teams are like this usually. But with Razork being on an Enchanter, they've slowed the game pace down a bit. And I'm curious to see how that's going to work against a team like Vitality, because Vitality often wanted to have these high skirmishes where you got into a mud fight. But Fnatic might be their kryptonite today if they can keep up the same compositions.
Talking to them on stage, they were reflecting on the fact that they know what to fix and they know when to fix it. And obviously they have the answers to do so, but also they want to rely on easy for them compositions. Do you feel like that's what fits Fnatic the best? Because again, do they have to play like this, or are they allowed to play like this because enemies don't ban what makes them strong right now?
I don't think they're forced to play like this. It just feels like they found some sort of comfort, and then they're just playing it over and over again. And it's like, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, because this team comp is pretty much giving you everything you need, you know, a solid front line, good damage sources everywhere, pretty decent range and good objective setup. So for me, it's like there's no reason to change it if you keep winning games, you know, especially in a short split 9 best of 1s, you need those wins.
Absolutely, and I think Fnatic can be one of the most versatile teams we have in this split, just because if you think back to last year's season finals, Razork already brought out the AP junglers before anything there. Now you actually have an AP jungle meta too. So I think, yeah, they got the Ivor, and they can play this in Sao or the Poppy as well in the jungle if they want to, but they also have all the AP champions available for Razork. So I think Fnatic can be very scary in our current meta, and Vitality with their rough start really have their work cut out for them today.
A lot of things to prove for both teams here in Game 1 win. Will Team Vitality turn the tide, or is it Fnatic the first team securing a 3-0 in opening week? Let's find it over to the casters.